Hello, this is David Baumblatt from Terabant Leadership, and we are here to talk about leadership. Today's episode, we are going to be talking about nationalism and globalism. It's a unique concept that a lot of Americans don't get. So before I even begin, let me just show you something that I got on Twitter today, or X, and I want you as an American to take a look at this. Now, before you see it, there's going to be Americans, I hope so, there's going to be Americans that it's going to click very fast. But there's going to be other Americans. These could also be people, even in MAGA, they don't get it. But here's the point. If you're in non-Western countries like China, they get it immediately. Immediately. So how is it that the Chinese will get this concept immediately? And yes, we're talking nationalism. We're not talking communism. And yet to many Americans, I would probably say the majority of Americans, they would not understand this concept. So we're going to do them. This is an X. It just sent to me, and I thought to myself, yeah, this is it. This is part of nationalism. And why is it that the Chinese will understand this immediately? Because this is how it is in China. But if you show this to Americans, they will either denounce it, which I'm saying, America, we are not a nationalist country. We are globalists. Whether you understand that, believe that, agree with that, we live in a globalist society in America. It's basically a globalist corporation. But anyway, let me show you this clip. It's going to be simple. You're either going to get it or not, probably. But the key question is if you're an American, ask yourself, why would the Chinese get this immediately? But most Americans, they're going to either get it or they get it, but they object to it. Why is that? So here we come. Let's look at it. So anyway, here we come. And this is from Europe Will Rise Again. Sounds good. I hope Europe rise again. I've said to the many Europeans, you are an American colony. And I've said many times, I think America and Europeans, we should reform our brotherhood. But if you're a European, if you think you're brothers, you're crazy. You're an American colony. We're the boss. You're not. Sorry. Time to rise. But anyway, look what it says here, the thing. The Germans built their country for their own white people. I don't know how many people we have on here on the line, but can anyone, we don't have many viewers on it because I'm censored all the time, but there is an error in this, and that is the Germans built their country for their own. You could pretty much cross out white people for their own people. Why? Because even the Chinese will tell you who is a German. It's a white person. Who is a European? It's a white person. But the point being is that this concept, you could even say in America, and I get it, America has a little bit of diversity, not much. But to keep it simple, let's just stick with Europe, France, Britain, Germany, these countries. These countries were built for their own people, Europeans. The same reason that China was built for the Chinese. But it's such a weird concept. Like, this is considered radical, even for MAGA. I'm talking with MAGA, even for MAGA. This is considered radical, but in China, and in basically the whole non-Western world to include Israel, this would be normal. Israel was built, whatever you want to take it over, the land was stolen, whatever you want to do it, or given to them in the prophecies of the Bible and the Torah. But anyway, Israel is for the Jewish people. So anyway, and I'm not saying you're going to agree or disagree with that. I'm just saying that the non-Western countries, that land, that country is for their people. But we can't seem to say this in the West. So again, if you either don't understand this or maybe you disagree with this, then it goes to my point. We are not a nationalist nation in America. We're globalists. But just take a look at this right here and what the Germans took 100 years to build their country for the German people only. And again, we'll end it. But I would say is it's sad that we have to use the word, as you can see here, we have to use the word white people. No, the Germans built their country for their own people. Of course their people are white. I mean, if I said Chinese, you think Chinese are black people? You think Chinese are white people? No, Chinese are Asian people. I mean, the thought that we would have to go into this. So let me just take this down here. So anyway, that kind of gets the ball rolling in terms of this. And I said many times, we'll go into some more dialogue, but what you're going to see here, it's going to happen. Everything that I predicted, you're going to see it. Even like this war, the reason why we're not going in this episode on the Iran war, relax. We'll do it. We'll do it the next episode. It's going to be a complete failure. It's going to be an absolute failure. Give it time. And I believe that eventually, I don't want to go off topic, but it's going to get so bad that I think we Americans, or perhaps Israel, will be the first nation. Well, not the first nation. We've already done atomic weapons during World War II. But anyway, nuclear weapons are going to come again. But anyway, I've said this before. World War II is going to return in terms of ideology. There were three ideologies. We had the Soviet Union called communism, not a very good track record. Again, China used to be communism. It's not communism anymore. Then we had America, which at times systems seem to work and then they don't work anymore. And there was a time, America, you could say a liberal democracy, liberal capitalism. And at a certain stage, it'll work, but you realize that's going downhill. And then you had the Nazis, the National Socialists. And we have been brainwashed in America that anything dealing with nationalism is evil. I've said many times, we in America, we could sell communism faster than we could sell communism faster than fascism. And the point being is communism and globalism go hand in hand. Communism and feminism also go hand in hand. So I'm telling you, and I want to make this point because we're gonna go to a couple of things here, but I want to make this point about China, which is interesting. And again, I'm not looking at China as the ideal model. It's like anything. I mean, there's different sorts of democracies, but you can disagree. But the more you as an American denounce China for whatever negativities you have, which is fine. I mean, I denounced China many times. I call these people gooks and shinks. I mean, you think they're going to agree with that? You know, free speech, let free speech reign. But here's the point. The more you denounce China or the Chinese people, the government, whatever you want to call it, China, as evil, negative, bad, and at the same time, you as an American buy made in China products, and those profits are going to go straight to the Chinese government, which is, again, what you're saying is evil, communism, whatever you're saying. What does that say more about, China or you as an American? It's kind of like saying your next door neighbor is this evil pedophile. And then at the same time, you tell your wife, say, hey, I'm going to go next door, I'm going to play poker with the pedophile. And your wife says, why? You just said this guy's an evil pedophile. And you're like, yeah, but I really like to play poker and drink beer. I need a buddy, so I'm going to do that. That would make no sense. Where are your morals? So at the end of the day, if you're an American and you truly think China is evil and this and that, or I guess Iran is evil, but it's easier for China because there's more made in China products being sold in America. What should you do? You should probably not buy any more made in China products. Because if you do, what does that say about America? We could care less. We really don't have morals. It's just about the money. Whatever's the cheapest, and that's how we are. We're run by globalist corporations in America. All they care about is the money. So we're going to go on to this, but remember that point. The more evil you say China is, which is fine, that would make sense if you say boycott the Chinese goods. If you do that, that makes sense. I would say that's fine. But if you say, man, China's evil, oh, wow, made in China products, that's cheap, I'm going to buy it. What does that say about you? What does that say about America? We really don't have morals. We're really globalist. It's basically global capitalist, a globalist corporation. Basically, everything in America rules by money. And it's not so much in other nations, where money, in many times, is not the primary factor. But in America, everything, to include these wars, it's all about the money. Anyway, let's go with a couple things in the news here, and then we'll get to the subject. This is about Tucker Carlson, and I have some personal experience what's happening to him. I'm going to tell you exactly what's going on. Let me share the screen here 1 second. No, let me go this one. We'll try this one 1 second. Let me go. Okay, here we're going to go Tucker Carlson. Hopefully you can see this 1 second. Let me bring this down. So anyway, if we're looking at Tucker Carlson, what does it say? Tucker Carlson claims the CIA is reading his text with Iran, and he's framing him as a foreign agent. And what did I write? Oh, I have no doubt about that. I mean, I could speak from personal experience on that. It doesn't matter. And I keep telling you, most Americans don't realize. So the CIA is probably collecting data on them. It's going to share to the FBI. Eventually, it's got to get to the FBI because the FBI is the one who's going to put handcuffs on you, arrest you, and take away your freedom. But the point being is most people don't realize, and I'm trying to look. Let me bring this up. I'm trying to look to the Generation X or the baby boomers. We grew up in America in a pretty stable country. you are about to see things in America you've never seen before, because the globalist empire is going down. And as it gets unstable, this stuff called the Constitution and law, it's toilet paper, people. And so the point what I'm making with Tucker Carlson, similar to myself, is most Americans don't draw outside the lines. They do what they're told. I mean, it is what it is. Everyone wants to be a tough guy. I don't want to be tough. I just left America. That was it. I was like, this ship is sinking. Thanks, but no thanks. I left. But anyway, most people still stay within the lines. So if you said the government's corrupt, the government's after you, they'd say that sounds like a conspiracy theory. Well, I don't know. I mean, how many times that you've pushed back against the government? And even if you did, if you're a normal person, you don't have much power. Tucker has a lot of power, meaning influence. He's pushing back on the government. So they would look at him as a threat. And would the United States government, I don't know, spy on him illegally? Ding, ding, ding. Come up with whatever witch hunt they can to label him as an enemy of the state? Ding, ding, ding. And what do most Americans, because most Americans are still drank the Kool-Aid, they'll be like, well, if the FBI says he's a national security threat, he must be a national security threat. We believe these people. So again, I keep saying it, most Americans, you're not at that level either. One, you're not really pushing back against the government. You could say stuff, but you pay your taxes, you vote, you complain, but that's about it. You're gonna do what you're told. Or you try to push back, but you're not really a person of power where they feel like you're a threat. So, you're a speed bump. They don't care about you. But if you are a person where the government looks at you as a potential threat and you push back on this government politically, I'm not saying illegally, push, you're going to realize that as this American empire starts becoming more and more unstable, the thought of rule of law, hopefully by now you're realizing we don't have much rule of law overseas, meaning our wars. You think our rule of law in America is becoming stable? So anyway, back to Tucker Carlson on this right here. Tucker thinks he's being framed. What do I think? Absolutely. Tucker is extremely influential. He pushes back on this government. Yeah, be careful. That FBI is going to cook up something. Remember, this is the same FBI that Donald Trump said is corrupt. Now he puts Kash Patel and Danny Bongino in there, and now it's not corrupt. Look, problem fixed. Yeah, good luck with that. So anyway, with Tucker Carlson, you better be careful. Let's go to the next one here. Let's talk about, since we're talking about the FBI. I'm not a big believer on back in the blue. Let me just show this video. I want to make sure everyone, my bad. I want to make sure everyone can see this. 1 second, my bad. Let me bring this up here. All right. Hopefully everyone can see that. So I'm going to put the volume up. I don't even know if this video is real or not. This gets in our next thing. I mean, this is like, can this thing even be?
Do it, man. Stop. Don't do it. Don't do it. I'm going to take you. Shots fired. Hey, back up. Get on the other side. I will shoot you. Drop that gun right now. Drop that gun right now.
Stand by. Go ahead.
We're going to speed it up.
Don't! Drop it! Shots fired! Shots fired!
I mean, look at the, let's just watch it again. This is America.
I'm going to take you.
Are you kidding? Again, I don't even know if this is true or not, or if this is AI, but it wouldn't surprise me. Anyway, the reason why I'm doing that is, remember I'm telling you about our governments, we're losing control. Yeah, this one I say right here very clearly, I don't back the police. This is obviously in Britain, supposedly 6 British officers arrested a man for doing Facebook. Yeah, this is
All
right. Look at this here, everybody. 6 armed police locking Lee up for Facebook posts. What an utter joke.
Well, the joke
Can you believe this?
Is that everyone's on police here, so if you could counter it better, that'd be, it's probably funny what you're posting, wouldn't it?
It's a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not big on backing the police. Let me put, and again, we're going into what's happening in America is we're becoming more and more of a police state. And this is what the same thing it is overseas in a global society. We are trying to control the globe with our military, and we're going to control America with our with our police. But anyway, those who say they back the blue, yeah, well, I'm law enforcement. You don't really back me, but no, I don't really back the blue. These people have gone way out of hand to our freedom. Hey, I see you, Shane. Good to have you here. Let me go to another video here. So we keep going. This is just events, but this one's interesting. And I want us to see, now I say, let me bring this down here. Again, I don't know if this is AI. And let me make it clear with AI. AI is going to get dangerous. The way I look at AI is very simple. I don't know if this is already proposed. It's sort of the same thing where people, if they buy organic food, there's a label. Like we have labels for everything, but if it's organic, there needs to be a label. I'm okay with people using AI. It's a technology. It's hard to stop it. But there should be a law that says if you use any type of AI, there's a bit of a marker, whatever, in the lower right-hand screen that says AI. Otherwise, I'm telling you, it's information warfare. So I'm going to show you this in Iran. I don't know. I mean, it almost, is this AI or not? Because here's the point. Remember I said when in China, when the Chinese tell me that they see that America is being run by Israel, I was kind of shocked because I was like, do you see that? They said, oh, yeah, it's obvious. Like when you see outsiders. So this picture of this Iranian guy, again, I don't know if it's AI or not. It's sort of that similar point where they're like, wow. But if you think about it, is the Iran war a good scapegoat to get away from the Epstein files? Pretty good. Is that a possibility? Couldn't argue with it. But anyway, let's look at this. Again, this will be remembered as the Epstein war. Again, is this AI or is this real? I don't know. But I'm saying, but if it is real, it really shows you that the Iranian people really, in a way, understand what's going on in America. Because I'm telling you, what an absolute shift focus to get away from the Epstein. Now I'm going to do something good for Donald Trump, though. We're going through the news. This is from the United Nations. Stay no to hate. What did I say? Another good reason why Donald Trump should get rid of this stuff. Same thing with the NATO. We need to get NATO at least the fiscal responsibility and make the Europeans pay for NATO. This is another. I mean, you're telling me American taxpayer money is going to the United Nations? Stay no to hate. Donald Trump, I think he wants to defund out of United Nations. It's good. It's time to get out. This stuff is not working. All right, let's go to one more thing here. And then I'm thinking, what did I keep saying about MAGA? Is a MAGA about American citizens first, or is it about American corporations first? And this is what I'm trying to tell you with the episode. We are a globalist country. The best way to describe America is a globalist corporation. And what is this? American company, I hope you can see this. American company set to earn an additional $63 billion from the U.S.-Iran war. They're going to make what it says. U.S. companies will earn an additional $5 billion in profits. Yeah, they're going to make a lot of money. I mean, I truly believe Donald Trump is putting American corporations first. These corporations are not our friends, though. And I'm big into businesses, entrepreneurs, especially small businesses. These corporations aren't our friend. So is MAGA American citizen first or American corporation first? I think it's American corporation first. Very dangerous. That's not something I want to do. So let's go to another one here that's pretty interesting. This goes about, and these guys are like Gunther Eagle. They're all about supporting military veterans except me. It's a joke. But anyway, let's go to Dan Crenshaw. This is interesting for two reasons. One, he's a Navy SEAL, because we're going to talk about Navy SEAls. Overrated, by the way. I think I told you about Dan Crenshaw. I see Shane right here. AI is the perfect smoke and mirrors war tool. I say again, it's one of these technologies that I don't think you can ban it. And I think we could all agree, like all technologies, it can be used for good and for bad. But if you want to use it, use it. There should be a label, though. I really mean it. There should be a law. Like it has to be that if you use any AI to make videos or whatever, there's a label. Otherwise, because you have to remember, we're big into freedom of speech. But think about it. Should people be free to lie to other people? That's interesting. It's kind of like they say you can't say fire, fire in the movie theater. If you purposely lie. So with AI, you are distorting the truth where the person thinks it's real and you're actually fabricating it. I think it's okay because it's a technology, but I do think there should be a label on it immediately. And it should be an easily seen label, whatever, like I said, in the lower right-hand corner, that's like AI. And that way you're the viewer knows that, okay, this could be fake. This is an AI, this is whatever. It's like a car. You know, we used to do this when we were younger with cartoons. Cartoons were make-believe. The difference is as soon as you see a cartoon, you know it's a cartoon. AI now is getting so real, you don't know whether it's real or not. There needs to be a label. I'm telling you, it's going to get dangerous to the point. Sooner it's going to be a label. Anyway, this video is for a couple things. One, it's Dan Crenshaw. I have a West Point classmate that was Dan Crenshaw's classmate at the Harvard Kennedy School. He said he was a bit of I'm trying to think of the word, a corporate man. The same word I use in the military to describe most military officers. They're corporate men. They care about their career. They're selfish. But anyway, what I'm trying to tell you is, just like Donald Trump came in and said there's people called the Rhino split, you're going to see MAGA continue to split. So now you have MAGA telling Dan Crenshaw he's a Rhino, which I'm not disagreeing. But even these MAGA people, I'm telling you, they're rhinos too. But I want to go. And the next one is about, because he's a Navy SEAL, the next guy is a shitbag Navy SEAL that we're going to talk about. But anyway, let's go quickly with
specifically around anti-Semitism in this country. I want to read for you a few things.
1 second, let me make sure everyone could see it. My bad. One of the things we're doing is, so Dan Crenshaw is saying the MAGA people are out of hand with Islamophobia. And you get Gunther coming back. He's like, man, we're MAGA. Yeah, you start talking about anti-Semitism now, MAGA will go through the roof. So what I'm trying to see is we are going to continue to transform in America. You have not seen anything yet. But to the MAGA people that think they're nationalists, you're not nationalists. I mean, you could call yourself what you want. It's a free world, hopefully still. But anyway, you're not nationalists. But like I said with Donald Trump, he is the most nationalist president I've ever seen. But anyway, this guy, Dan Crenshaw, yeah, good riddance to this guy.
Things that some Republican lawmakers said this week. Andy Ogles of Tennessee said America's a product of English Christian culture. Muslims don't belong in American society. Florida's Randy Fine said we need more Islamophobia, not less. Fear of Islam is rational.
Yeah, like I said, that guy Randy Fine is, man, that guy is one big Zionist. I wonder if he puts Israel first or America. This guy's a politician.
And Senator Tommy Tuberville of Alabama posted a picture of the 9/11 attack next to the New York City mayor at dinner, breaking his fast at Ramadan with the phrase, "The enemy is inside the gates."
Well, the enemy's definitely inside, but I don't consider, just so you guys know, I don't consider Islam the enemy. I think Islam has a place in the Islamic world. Obviously the West is a Christian European culture. So no, I don't believe Islam has a place in the Western world, but I don't believe Islam is the number one threat. Not at all. I mean, I don't know. It sounds like back when I was in the FBI, the war on terror, what the Taliban. I mean, this thing that's going on with Iran, I get it in terms of, I understand they probably have a very different culture than us, but I don't look at Iran being my number one threat. It's just not at all. So I do agree that the enemy is within, but ask yourself who led in all these Muslims, probably the corporations too. I mean, even look at the MAGA people. They love illegal immigration. But anyway, we talked enough about that. This guy, Dan Crenshaw, he sucks. We all know that. But let's do something what's more interesting is this other Navy SEAL. This is Derek Van Oden. Derek knows about me. Let me see. Let me bring this down here. So Derek knows about me. He's a Navy SEAL, and he's a piece of shit. This is a Navy SEAL, like I said, who's a congressman. And if you're a Navy SEAL who finds this unflattering, well, then police your ranks. You need to get to Derek and say, Derek, if you're going to continue to leech off the American taxpayer, do your fucking job. And when the military veteran or an American citizen says they have government corruption to report, you don't ignore them because you're too lazy, you're too afraid, or you don't care. So I've said many times, the Navy SEALs are some of the biggest bullshit artists I've ever seen in the military, and I would defund them. But here we go, Derek. This guy, just like Dan Crenshaw, he needs to leave. Let's just do one more thing. And it was pretty interesting. This is, I want to make sure everyone can see this okay. Yeah, and again, this is the voice of rabbis. Trust me, I'm not let me make sure. You talk about the Jews, everyone goes crazy. I'm not an expert on Christianity, though I'm very pro-Christianity, it's the foundation in many ways of the Western world. I'm not an expert on Judaism or the Torah or whatnot. But what is interesting to know is there is a difference between Zionism, the political movement, and the religion. Even though some people would look at the religion and Torah, say, hey, I don't like, there's discrimination. They call us going. I'm not going to argue with you. Let it out. But the point being is it's good to see at least some type of arguments from the rabbis. So if you can read what they're writing here is basically, let me bring this up. Anyway, you can see it, but the voice of the rabbis is basically on the X, which was cool. I saw it. It was basically these guys are not Zionists and they're against a lot of the political actions of Israel and this stuff like that. So it is to do a little bit of a counterbalance. But I said too right here, I still think probably the two most dangerous passports to have overseas, probably an American passport and Israeli passport. Very simple. If you want to start wars, be very careful because there's going to be blowback. Okay, so with that, let's start in some videos. So let's talk a little bit about globalism really quick, just to get it rolling. I think this guy, John Stewart, I think he's pretty interesting, pretty fun thing to look at. Let's go here.
The last few decades of globalization allowed corporations to scour the planet for the cheapest labor and loosest regulations, devastating the working class. The auto industry left Michigan and Ohio for Mexico and China. Textile companies left North Carolina for Sri Lanka, Taiwan, and Vietnam. And heavy machinery manufacturer Caterpillar shipped jobs from Illinois to wait, what? To Texas? They went to Texas? That can't be right. Maybe current Texas Governor Greg Abbott can explain.
We have low taxes, reasonable regulations, right-to-work laws.
I think I understand now. As China is to America, Texas is to Illinois. Now, if you don't speak business euphemism, allow me to translate what the governor said. Low tax means less money to spend on infrastructure. Reasonable regulations means you weren't using that finger anyway. And right to work means weak unions, which means companies can get away with lower pay and fewer benefits, and they do.
Okay, so what I want to do is hopefully we've seen this. I'm very much different than a lot of Americans. Living in China, I've seen firsthand American corporations just loving China, closing the factory in America. It's all about the money. It's all about, and remember, these are the same corporations that say they're Americans or they're patriotism. They don't care. It's all about, they have no loyalty. These corporations have no loyalty to America. They have no loyalty to Americans. They have loyalty to their shareholders. That's different than nationalism. You can like it or not, but in China, those Chinese companies, they answer to the Chinese government. And the Chinese government, believe it or not, they care about their people. I get it. People will say they're, communism, they've killed millions. And I'm not going to argue with that. But at the end of the day, the Chinese government is not going to replace the Chinese people with anyone but Chinese people. They want where corporate, it's the same thing if you don't perform or they can replace you financially, they're going to do it. They don't care. It's all about the money. It's the same thing in our country. That's why a lot of the MAGA people, if you think these tariffs or Donald Trump doing that these corporations are going to come back, the factories, it ain't going to happen, people. It 100%, it's not going to happen. And these problems that we're having also with China, like they're getting built up, it's because no matter how much you believe this thing called MAGA, we still operate under globalism. If you don't believe me, what the fuck are we doing in Iran? Has nothing to do with it. People are like, yes, but we need to work out our supply chain. I don't know, maybe we need to bring that back to America. Meaning we need to have less supply chains overseas and start producing more in America. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. This power of globalism in America, again, we're run by it's unstoppable. There's only two things that are going to happen. A violent revolution and it's going to coincide, the corporations are going to bleed America off until there's an economic collapse. But the top 1%, I've said this before, during the Great Depression, that was some of the most money made in the history of America. If you're in that elite class where you have the investments, most Americans are going to lose. But the elites, like even Donald Trump, they're going to continue to make more and more money. I should do the video, but Donald Trump's sons are heavily invested in drone warfare, the military drone companies. You don't think there's insider knowledge on this, that Daddy Trump was going to go to war? So I'm saying is when this economic collapse happens in America, it's not going to happen for all people. I still think the people at the top are going to win. But in China, I saw that over and over again. The American companies would go to, these companies will do business with North Korea. These companies will do business with the devil. I mean, think about it. If you as an American believe that the ideology of China is so evil, then what are the, I have Coca-Cola, you got Pepsi, you got McDonald's, you got IBM, you got Boeing, it's everyone's in there. So it doesn't make sense. If China has this evil ideology or adversary, what are all these American corporations doing in China? Well, it doesn't matter, China. They'll do anything. In fact, I'm going to do a little bit. We're going to do another video. I do believe there's this thing in America called this Christian Zionism. And so they're big into Israel because of their religious beliefs. But I believe a lot of our politicians are pro-Israel, not because they're big with Jews or Israel. I think it's just the money. Because I've seen the same thing with China. You know, whoever has the money, these politicians. So the flavor of the month, it's true. It seems to be that the monetary subsidies coming from Jewish-oriented entities seems to be number one. So our politicians work for the Jews, you could say. But I don't think a lot of them, except for, you could say, the Christian Zionists, I don't really think they care so much about Jews or Israel. They just care about the money. Because I've seen the pivot. You know, today it could be Israel, tomorrow it could be China. The reason why the American politicians have such a negative attitude about Russia, Russia is not a very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not a very developed economy. The economy in Russia is about the economy of Texas or equivalent of Spain. So there's not much money coming out of Russia in terms of, you could say, corruption, economic incentives with American companies. China's different, though. There's a ton of money coming out of China. It's not going to be coming in your pocket. It's coming in the American corporations, the American politicians. They're going to get it. And so that's why a lot of times you're seeing this bias with China. I don't think these people care about the Chinese. They just care about money. Is that strange? Not if you're a corporation. And what's America? We're a corporation. That's basically what it is. Let's go here now. Here's something else too. Now, this is just a random picture in America. I get it. It's a random picture in America. But it still makes you wonder, why are we in Iran and we are spending billions upon billions of dollars for this war? You're not going to make any money if you're an American citizen. Your dollar's going to go down. But if you're part of the military industrial complex, they're making money. But just take a look at this just take a look at this picture here, and then you can kind of see it. Kind of doesn't look very good. You know, it just makes you think, you know, who is this person right here? Meaning who's the why is the money being spent on here? And I get it. This is just one picture, but you do have to remember the amount of money that we're spending on this war. Could it be spent in America? What do you think? Here's just something else too in terms of what's that. We're not going to watch this whole clip, just the short of it. But I keep saying in terms of what is a globalist corporation? It's all about the money. And I'm telling you, you're going to see an economic collapse coming. Let's just see this clip.
Seen before. Behind that headline, Americans now owe $1.28 trillion on their credit cards. That number hit a new record in Q4 2025, climbing to a level never seen before. Behind that headline figure, though, there's a split. The top half of earners are racking up points on flights and fine dining. The bottom half, meanwhile, are borrowing to cover groceries and rent at an average APR above 22%, and a growing number of them are falling behind. Serious delinquencies have hit their highest level since the aftermath of the financial crisis, with states like Mississippi seeing more than a third of card balances in distress. And now there's a political wildcard in play too. The Trump administration has proposed capping credit card interest rates at 10% for...
What you're going to see, and I keep saying this when they talk about violence, the best way I could look at it is this concept of working in these, I don't know if you've worked in these globalist corporations before, you know that everyone's working there. We're not really one big team. it's a lot of superficiality. We're just in it for the money. In fact, a lot of times people are working in corporations. They don't want, I'm going to give you an example. When I was in China back in, what was it, 2013, I was in Beijing, and I did a project for McDonald's. Yeah, anyone knows me. I'm not big into this fast food. Anyway, the CEO for McDonald's visited China, and he toured, I think, about 5 different cities. And I was basically doing the administration, logistics, security, everything for his visit. And the CEO of McDonald's, we visited, met him. I think it was an entourage of, it was big. I think it was like 30 people altogether. We had his local management, and we had people from America. Anyway, make a long story short, when he goes into these McDonald's restaurants to see his local leadership, we eat McDonald's food. It's the way it is, or at least this is what it is. And he gives it all to us for free, and we kind of have to eat it. So the last time I ate McDonald's food, I remember that was probably, I guess, 2013. I mean, I don't eat fast food. So what do I mean by that? You don't think there's people working in companies like McDonald's or whatever that you don't even like the service or the product? I mean, you're not in. It's like, yeah, I work for. I'm trying to think of a corporation, or some people might be working for military and defense, and you're making the bombs to destroy people. But I think we all know we're talking about that. A lot of times we were like, yeah, I don't like this company. I don't like this service. I don't like these products. Then what the hell are you doing it for? Got to pay the bills, check. And it is what it is. So the point is that's kind of how it is in America. We're just kind of going through the motion. But there's another person that I should do. His name is, God, I got to remember name. He's also a big influencer. Anyway, he said something like, I'm never going to leave America. This is where I was born and raised. Yeah, I'll tell you, once the economic, and in fact, now that I've got this, I'm going to put this down, this video. It is all about the money here. Let me do this video.
Heartland of California has lost, talking about Democrat heartland of California has lost another billionaire. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg is fleeing Gavin Newsom's California.
What I'm trying to do, and then we're going to do 2 quick things. All of these American influencers or CEOs, they all say the same thing. I love America. America's there. Think about it. When you leave a blue state and you go to a red state, isn't that in a way abandoning that state? Not like we care anymore. I mean, I don't care. But the point being is if you were born and raised, we'll say in California, and you left California, this is what they're doing and going to Florida. Don't you feel any like disloyalty that people are leaving? Fuck no, we don't care. But they say it. Well, you're telling me we can't take that one step further? So one, you left your state that you were born and raised in, and you go to another state primarily for what? Primarily for economics. And then what if that state or that country does bad? You're telling me they're not going to leave America? Of course they will. Of course they do. It's going to be abandoned ship. The problem is most Americans it's not going to be feasible to leave America. It's expensive. Some people can't even leave their state. But these multi-billionaires and multi-millionaires, they've got plan B already established. And I'm telling you, plan B is overseas. I've seen it so many times because it's a big economic hurdle to do this. But to those high net worth people, they already have it planned. So meaning these same people, stuff like Mark Cuban, we're talking that say, I love America. They already have their plan B. They don't want to advertise it because it shows that they're not as American. But I don't even know what American is anymore. Do you see where we're getting? This is it's a corporation. People are working in a corporation 99% of the time for the money. It's different back then for, you could say, a small business entrepreneur, mom and pop, where there is a bit of that family where you feel that you're putting the service and the products, and you have a little bit of that heart. Same thing I told in the military. These people are government mercenaries. They're government mercenaries. It is what it is. So when the chips go down, these high net worth people, they will abandon America in a heartbeat for the same reason that they're abandoning the blue state to the red state. You know what's going to happen. I guess it's not a big deal. The only thing that you dislike is the line. The bullshit. They're like, no, I love America and this is the best country on earth. But in your mind, yeah, right, buddy. If things get down, these billionaires are going to abandon us like nothing. It's going to happen. Give it time.
California and heading to Florida, Army. He has purchased a massive waterfront mansion in Miami and he is expected to live in it. It's not supposed to be a holiday home. They're expecting him to move to the red state in April. Why are so many people leaving California for places like Florida and Texas and Tennessee? It's a bit of a theme there.
Yeah, I can't tell if that's a rhetorical question or a real question, Rita. Well, I mean, California is it's unbelievable. Here's the data. Okay, in the last 10 years, 10 million people have left California, including dozens of billionaires.
So I'm just trying to reiterate, you're telling me these people can leave California, their state, but they're not going to leave America? What I'm giving America credit is America hasn't gotten that bad yet. It's getting bad enough where people live in the States. And it is true that more and more, I need to do a video on Americans leaving. It's exponential. But you just have to use logic. You're telling me, like when people say before, a lot of dumb Americans, like, you're leaving America, you're such a traitor. Traitor? Well, he left his blue state, went to the red state. Is he a traitor? No, because he's still in America. What logic is that? We'd all leave. Meaning, same thing with our European forefathers. They left Europe and they came to America. Why? For a better life. And if you're going to live in a country that's not treating you fairly, whatever you think it is in your mind, what are you going to do? I mean, I left. That's what I did. What do you think these billionaires are doing? They're leaving. It's going to leave. And that's what I'm telling you. You think this is one big family in America? I tell it, we will kill each other. It is rats jumping from a ship. And it's different in other countries. Like, look at, I know I'm changing the subject, but let me look at this. You see videos like Iranian people are jumping for joy. They're like, yes, the Iranian Ayatollah has been assassinated. And they're just jumping for joy. 2 comments. 1, what's the percentage of that population? I'm just curious, what's the percent? 2, what do you think that would happen to America? You don't think if all of a sudden Washington, D.C. was nuked, what would I do? Good for fucking them. What do I think of evil? Who's destroying faith, family, freedom? The Iranians? The Iranian government is truly destroying Christian faith, European people, and our freedom of speech. I would probably say Washington, D.C., in coordination with the globalist corporations. That would be my guess. Do you really think who's taking away your freedom of speech, Iran or America? So what I'm trying to say is, don't be deceived. They're showing pictures of people cheering in Iran that their government was assassinated or destroyed. Okay, what's the percentage? And 2, what would happen if that happened in America? You don't think there'd be people cheering? What if Hillary Clinton was set to spend a life in prison or be executed or whatever? You don't think there's people in America that would be like this? So relax in terms of, when we're looking at other countries and we're like, yeah, they're unstable, they'll fall apart. When we in America experience more and more economic hardship, we will kill each other. It's going to be bad. It's going to get real bad.
Like Mark Zuckerberg, taking with them all their job creation, all their innovation. It's all going out the door to the states who are welcoming people who want to create wealth, okay? Not California. The greatest stat of all is that if you want to rent a U-Haul one way.
You know what it is, too? It's all about money, though. Really? Is that it? Is it just about money? But this is a corporate, it's all about money.
From California to Texas, it is 4 times more expensive in that direction than Texas coming back to, because no one is doing that. Look, this hurts my heart. It does. As you know, I am a long time I live in New York.
I think we get this point, but guess what? I thought this is also interesting. Same thing right here. Look at this. I'm going to do share screen. So guess what? We just talked about people leaving. Make sure you see it here. So what do we have here? I guess, what is this? Uber. The billionaire Uber co-founder reveals he's joining the exodus from California. You don't see a pattern here? These are the billionaires. And this guy probably said all this bullshit. And the reason, hopefully everyone saw this, and I wrote here, this thing's falling down. The reason that I call bullshit on this is why? I saw this in China. And what do I mean? These same corporate sleazebags that preach this bullshit, I don't know, diversity, equity, patriotism, fascism is evil, communism. I see them in China all the time, the executives. They're all in there. I mean, what they preach in America, one, they should never be in China to begin with. They should have never. They would have said the morals and ethics and political structure of China is not aligned to our American values. So we are not going to do business in China. That's technically what they should have done. Of course they don't. Well, because what are American values? We don't have any. It's just about the money. People really aren't leaving California. Think about it. Do you really think people are leaving California and they're going to Florida because they're like, Florida's more Christian? No, they're good money. Now, there could be, I get it. You know, a lot of these red states, there's more conservative values and maybe more Christianity. I get that. But what's the number one reason? I guarantee people are leaving. Economics. Number one. Think about it. What is the number one reason that these American corporations are in China? It's economics. They don't care. So I'm just trying to, what I'm trying to do is get you ready. If you think America has values, I don't know what these values are. We don't care about military veterans. We're not a Christian nation anymore. What are we anymore? What, we're European? Can you even say we're Europe? What are we? We're a corporation. We're a globalist corporation, everything. So again, the number one reason these people or these corporations are leaving blue states to the red state, number one is money. The number one reason they're in China, money. The number one reason Americans are going to leave America, if you can, if you have the money, is also going to be for the money. I guess that's it. And you might say, but isn't that how other nations are? Well, I don't know. Look at a place like Japan. Japan would probably do better economically if they would allow legal immigration in, but they don't. I've got a lot of Japanese friends. I like Japan, but they would rather take an economic hit than allow their country to basically become non-Japanese. Like, I don't know. I mean, does anyone have any morals here that's over money? Like it's a great way to leadership. Just say, is there something you're willing to do over money? Do you have any principles that you're willing to die for over money? I don't know. Christianity, I guess maybe your family. Are you willing to die for? Well, people don't even care about their family anymore. But do we have anything that we care? Like I said, even in the military, these people are doing it. You wait until more and more military deaths happen. These guys are done. They're not doing it because a mercenary force. That's why mercenaries get paid so much. Because if you're really going to, or they're bottom of the barrel mercenaries, but if these are top line mercenaries that it's like, I'm going to die for this, you better pay me a lot of money. And that's, I think, what Donald Trump might have to do. He's going to crash the economy. He's going to put more money in the military. And then a lot of people are going to say, well, I'm unemployed. Wow, they're paying a lot to become a soldier. I guess that's how he's going to fill the military ranks. But I still think once body bags really start coming in, I think a lot of these military people say, I didn't sign up for this bullshit. I signed up for a nice pension. I want government benefits, and I want work 20 years and retire. I'm not going to die for this country. I don't know what this country is because I'm a good example. I'm a military veteran. We don't care about military veterans. We don't. It's better honest just to say it. And I've said many times, you actually would do more of a service to just stop thanking military veterans for their service. I don't know what we did. But anyway, back to this in terms of nationalism, globalism. We really are a globalist corporation. And the number one reason, like I've said, these people are leaving these states. And because we're on money, let's just do one quick video about China and money. Because I'm telling you, the US dollar, so if you support this war in Iran and everything, these are just more and more dominoes of where America is going to lose our global status. And when that happens, when the US dollar is no longer the reserve currency, there's going to be a pain you've never seen before. But I do believe that the globalist elites, to include Trump, whether this is with gold, this is with crypto, there's going to be a life raft for them. These people are not. These people, they have too much money. They're not going to self-destruct. But I think most people, like the Great Depression, the average person, it's going to be a tough life.
Accounting for over 40%. The mining sector remains central to public finances, with mining primarily copper accounting for over 40% of Zambia's total tax revenue.
So we're talking about Africa now.
Officials say allowing payments in Chinese yuan would reduce.
You don't think this war, you don't think this war in Iran, the same thing in Venezuela, is to keep the petrodollar intact? You don't think so? Probably, and I guess that's what we fight war. So why are we fighting these wars for? Money. So if you're a soldier, what are you fighting for? Money. But if we lose, and Donald Trump said that, it is what it is. If the US dollar loses the world reserve currency status, we're done. So petrodollar, Iran, petrodollar in Venezuela, and then what's happening with other areas. But the momentum is going to come at such a rate, it's uncontrollable. Why? Because this thing called globalism, who is one of the biggest supporters of it? America. We support it. So if you don't like that China became so powerful, who do you blame? America. We helped build China up. It's going to be our downfall too.
Currency conversion costs and help Zambia better manage roughly $5.7 billion in debt linked to China.
We all know that Zambia has a big debt with China. So when it means paying back, it reduces on the tax base because we don't now need to look for the dollar for us to pay the debt. And also in terms of most of the machines we're using in the mines are from China. So it also is an advantage to now get space from China.
Traders who import goods from China have welcomed the move.
So last year the dollar was high in terms of the exchange rate between the kwacha and the US dollar. And now that the kwacha has gained, that gives me at least the ability to get a lot of items using the same amount of money that I used to spend last year. I would get a limited stock. But now with the gaining of the kwacha, I'm able to get more stock as compared to last year.
Zambia joins a growing list of African countries that are using the Chinese currency for trade and financial transactions, like Kenya, which converted $3.5 billion worth of Chinese loans in October, and South Africa.
So we'll end it here. I think you're getting to it. The world is changing. This is what I want to do. So I see Gonk, and he said, I die for Christian values, my family. This is what I want to do. And I've seen this rhetoric from MAGA or conservatives. It's wrong. And I've said this before. So I want us to learn more about nationalism. And it's similar to getting into college or getting a job. This guy, what is this guy, Patrick Bet-David? Not a big fan of that guy. Not a big fan. I'm telling you, there's something up with him too. I'll do. And he says this too, like, you've heard this. It's the same thing with this Vivek Ramaswamy. We don't care who you are. The most qualified person wins, like capitalism, man. So who should get into that college? The smartest person. It makes sense on paper, right? The smartest person. Yeah, but what about race? I don't care about race. I don't care about religion. I don't care about sexuality, right? The smartest person. Who should get the job? The most qualified person, right? Whoever's got. I disagree with that in nationalism. And in fact, there are studies that prove it. Again, this is what I studied a lot when I was at Harvard in terms of that leadership. But many times, if you're going to hire a candidate, don't look for the most qualified person credentials. You look for the right fit. And if you said, well, how do I know what's the right fit? I don't know. What's your company? What's your culture? It's the same thing if you had a daughter. You say, sweetheart, all I want you to marry is the richest man, the strongest man, the smartest man. I don't know, maybe values. Maybe you're a Christian family. And you say, sweetheart, you need to marry a Christian. Maybe you're a European family. And you say, sweetheart, you need to marry European. But the Chinese person is smarter than the white guy. Well, that's just dandy, sweetheart. But we live in a family where pure credentials, sounds like money. You know, whoever the high, that's not it. There's something about what the values are of this person that brings into it. And you'll find that most companies, like countries that survive the long run, they put values first. What about China? China's been a Chinese country for thousands of years. They are Chinese. They're part Taoism, part Buddhism, and Confucianism, but they have a very homogeneous culture, a very homogeneous people. And that it's the same reason why the military, at least a good military, is able to survive in crisis, which is war. Why? The military, you don't want very diverse. You want the military to be a very homogeneous environment, a very homogeneous culture, sort of like a country. So I disagree with whether we're looking at universities, who gets in, or who gets hired from the job. You'll see this from MAGA. Whoever's the most qualified person. No, there's values. There's values. And you may not be the smartest person. You may not have the most credentials, but there's something about your values. And what are those values? Whatever values I say. What did I say? I believe there's a value of European people. There's a value of race. Just like look at the Chinese. There's a value that you get Even in gender, there's a value you get from being a woman. There's a value you get from being a man. There's a value. So what is your value? What is your culture? Whether it's your family, whether it's your company, whether it's your society, whether it's the university. I mean, think about West Point, at least what they used to do is they have a different value set of what they want to be a cadet at West Point versus, I don't know, the University of Oregon. I don't know what they're looking for. But if you, at the higher level societies, you'll realize that they have a value proposition that they have and they demand. And it's not purely whoever's the richest, whoever's the smartest, whoever's got the most credentials. And so I look at that again with nationalism, but we're doing our country, our values like a corporation. I don't think we have much. It's just all about the money. It will fall. It will fall. And if you and that's what I'm saying. I go back when I hear these MAGA people like China's evil. Do you buy Chinese goods? No, I don't. Okay, that sounds pretty good. Or China's evil? Yeah, I still buy the Chinese goods because it's cheap. What does that say about your values then? What does that say? And so, like I said, is part of the reason why we don't want to get into these values is because we're being ruled over by these American corporations where when I saw in China, it's absolutely like hypocrisy. These corporations don't really care. But until then, I can't pull it up again, but remember that first picture, we'll end it here. The very first picture I did about the Germany, and they even made a mistake. They said for white people. No, if you're German, you are a white person. If you're a European, you're a white person. You don't need to say white. And it said the Germans built Germany for their people. Europe built Europe for their people. Just same thing. And if you can't understand that, which is so crazy, the Chinese get it like that. But think about America. People may get it, but they'll debate it. It's racism, this and that. And that's why we are not a country that has a nationalist ideology. What do we have? We have a globalist ideology. And you can't have a nation long term where your competing ideology is globalism. Eventually it'll fall. And it's the same thing. We'll end it here, but it's the same thing. Why are we in Iran? Has nothing to do with nationalism. I don't know. I really don't have a problem with the Iranians. Not really interested in having Iranians immigrate to the West. Not a big fan of that. But I don't really have a problem with the Iranian government. They never really did much harm to me versus the American government. So again, why are we in this war? Globalism. Because our country is already compromised with globalist elites. It's not that way in China. You might say, why isn't China getting involved? Many times China's not very interested in other countries' affairs. Truth be told, they're not. They really are very isolationist where they care a lot about China. But we care about the whole world except American citizens. Good luck with that formula. Until then, David Baumblatt from Terrapin Leadership. I appreciate the support and telling all the Patriots out there to lead to victory.